Now, we are joined by Dr. Auqaab Alizai, an international relations expert from London, to share his views on US President Donald Trump's discussion with his top national security team regarding a new Iranian proposal to resolve the ongoing war with Tehran. Welcome to Pakistan TV, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So now the proposal has been put up with the security team of Donald Trump. What could be a potential US-Iran peace initiative mean for regional stability in the Middle East, given the fact that how likely Iran is to engage positively with any new diplomatic proposal from Washington?
I think we need to put this in the context of the recent visit of the Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to Russia to meet Vladimir Putin, which represents a substantive development rather than a symbolic one. I think that comes in with this regard and may have an impact on how the Americans view the future negotiations with Iran. And it may well mark a shift in the trajectory of any future negotiations in that respect. I think the discussions in St. Petersburg centered on three core areas. The first, I just want to bring this in so we can get an understanding of what the context it really is and how relevant this is to understanding potential negotiations between the United States and Iran. First, it was a long-term strategic partnership with Russia and Iran. They have a comprehensive cooperation agreement that includes energy cooperation, defense coordination, and joint assistance or resistance to sanctions. And that was concluded or signed last year, comes into effect or came into effect this January. And that visit was part of this treaty agreement between them. But it's not a mutual defense agreement in the sense that you have a traditional agreement between NATO countries, for example, and does not institutionalize alignment on regular strategic coordination between the states. However, it's a treaty obligation that Russia may assist Iran in any future negotiations. And I think that's what really came out of it. For example, statements from Dmitry Peskov indicated that they may be prepared to act, that is Russia, act as a mediator in any future negotiations. And that plays an impact on future American negotiation with Iranians. Rather than bilateral negotiations, it may bring another mix into it. Both Russian and Iranian statements emphasize that sovereignty, resilience, and legitimacy of Iran's position and their prior positions on their sovereignty and their sovereignty to enrich uranium to some extent. But American position is obviously no enrichment. That's been their red line. Now, this is where the bargaining comes in and where Russia may come in. This dual messaging, for example, suggests that Russia is not offering neutral mediation in the traditional sense like Pakistan is. It's more positioning as a supportive intermediary that can influence outcomes while maintaining alignment with Tehran. So it is partnering with Iran in real terms. And that gives it a little more substance to Iran. And more substantively, this area concerns potential pathways for de-escalation as well. Now, there's no formal agreement announced in this respect. Discussions are still ongoing, but this was the first major issue that was discussed. And a third-party management of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile, for example, could come into play as well, potentially Russian oversight, meaning this issue was discussed previously and it's re-emerged under this current condition of the conflict. And that could possibly bridge the gap between Iran's reluctance to deal directly and provide all their uranium to the United States and put it to a third party, which previously the United States has not really been keen on, but may be a possible outcome here if it could be negotiated in the right way. I think that works in many levels, but there are other forms of negotiation as well. For example, it's bringing this, like I just mentioned, this bilateral negotiation into more greater room for maneuver for Iran to bring a third party in and to bring great power politics into it and geopolitical action. And so that changes the whole dynamic and the architecture of the negotiation. And I think because of that, negotiations may take a different trajectory altogether. They may change the political landscape as far as the United States is concerned. Now, we already know that Donald Trump has particular relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, and that engagement may be taken into account, although the American establishment may not see it that way. They generally are skeptical of Russian involvement in such matters, and they may rule it out. But I think when it comes to Donald Trump, he may consider this, and I think that may take a different trajectory, and that may come as a welcome to provide an off-ramp for future negotiations. But this is not a short-term quick fix. It's going to be a slightly more measured long-term reduction in escalation, I think, rather than a quick fix and a peace agreement coming out straight away. But it gives us more hope that something may come out because of this, I think.
Right. Also, the Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said that Tehran is considering a U.S. request to restart negotiations after meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. So, in your point of view, what could the other regional or the international actors play in facilitating the dialogue?
Well, that's what I just mentioned. That dialogue has maybe bring a third party in because the Iranians are with a certain amount of conditions, the Russians as not a mediator per se, but a supporter of Iran to come in and talk with the United States. Now, Pakistan's position is very different, for example. We are a neutral observer, a neutral mediator. It's a different issue altogether. We're trying to maintain neutrality between the two parties so that we bring them closer together. The idea of Russia these invitation, and I'm sure the Americans are very much aware of what's been going on in St. Petersburg with the Iranians and the Russians, that they may see this as an option where they can actually get something together, because you've got to appreciate also that the United States does not see Iran the same way that they see Russia, and vice versa. They see Russia as a major contender in geopolitical waters in that respect, and Iran not as an equal per se. So they may see some level of eye-to-eye understanding where if Russia comes in, but obviously it's not going to be neutral. It's going to be a supporter of Iran, and that may help push forward this peace process or these talks, and they may become some outcome. But I think it's going to last a little longer than we think.